I hope you had a happy holiday and are looking forward to the new year. As we start to close out 2022 and look ahead to 23, let's think about what your big gut goals are going to be to bring in the new year. First, avoid a fad diet. New year, there's going to be a new fad diet, but I want you to avoid it because once you strip away all the hype, really a good diet comes down to a few simple rules. First of all, try to restrict calories to the amount that your body actually needs, which is somewhere around 2,000. Few of those calories should come from liquid sources like sweetened beverages, dairy, or alcohol. Consume a generous amount of fruits and vegetables, and if you wish to eat meat, choose lean meats. Really, the simplest rule is that your meat should be white, everything else on your plate should be colorful. That's the most bare bones approach to the concepts that are being offered up in the Mediterranean diet and the paleo diet. But the common concept here is that outside the modern Western world, people got most of their calories from fruits and vegetables because hunting wild animals was hard. And when they did eat that meat, it was a lean meat because fish and wild game are lean compared to livestock. And that's where I think that the Mediterranean and the paleo diet, those can help give you some inspiration for what your meals are. But stick to the simplest rule: white, lean meats, colorful fruits and vegetables. For my second tip, take control of your gut happiness by preparing your own food at home. This is the most certain way to know what you're actually eating and to figure out how those foods affect you. Now, if you have a specific allergy, certainly don't test its boundaries, but generally speaking, you don't need any lab tests to know what foods are causing your symptoms. You're your own best test. Make the food at home, know what's going into it, and systematically monitor how foods affect your gut happiness. Now, to be really precise about this, you can't be eating pre-made foods because you don't really know what's going into that. I want you to go out and buy whole raw ingredients, prepare them yourself, season them yourself. In this way, you know precisely what is going into the final dish. As you embark upon this goal, pay careful attention to how cooking affects different foods. When we cook food, it breaks down complex molecules. So that may be a complex sugar that your intestines would have difficulty absorbing, but when it's well cooked, no trouble. Or similarly, a complex protein that could stimulate an immune reaction, once broken down, does not do so. And so cooking can actually make you tolerate foods much better. This is something where a person might hate raw onions, but love French onion soup. Our third goal is to know your medications. So often we have patients who come in and they're not sure why they're taking a medication. They may take it sporadically, and these are all bad ideas. This is the year to change that. So when you visit with your doctor, speak to them about the medications that they prescribe. Now, I'm happy to speak with my patients about any of the medications that they're on, but ultimately I have to look at that through the lens of a GI doctor and defer to the physician who is actually prescribing that medication. And that's why it's so helpful to have an internist who can quarterback all of your medications and confer with the specialist as needed. And what questions should you be asking? I want you to be asking if you're concerned that you're on the wrong medication, it's not working, if you think that there's side effects, or if you think that the dosing is off. And please bring up if you think that there's a new medication that you should maybe try. If you're a person who's on numerous medications, there may even be the opportunity to stop one or two. To provide thoughtful answers and allow time for discussion about these questions may require a dedicated appointment with your doctor. Now that you've got a great understanding of what medications you take and why, take a pen and write it down. Make a schedule of your medications and annotate that reason why you take them. Also, put reminders in your phone about when you're going to need a refill so you can make sure to do that ahead of schedule to keep on your routine. Gut goal number 4, make sure that you know the screenings that you need this year. If you're over the age 45, please make sure that you're up to date on colorectal cancer screening. Colon cancer is the only GI cancer that is sufficiently common to warrant universal screening. It's a lot easier than you think, so please set up a colonoscopy. If you have long-standing reflux or have risk factors like obesity and tobacco abuse, then you may benefit from a screening of your esophagus through an upper endoscopy to look for a condition called Barrett's esophagus that is a precursor to esophageal cancer. Also, if you have a family history of stomach cancer, and particularly certain genetic syndromes such as Lynch syndrome, it's an important conversation to consider having an upper endoscopy to focus on the stomach. If you have liver disease, cirrhosis, then you need to be having regular ultrasounds of your liver to screen for liver cancer. And finally, if you have a strong family history of pancreatic cancer, then you may be a person who benefits from early screening of the pancreas through specialized imaging. With the approach to any of those screenings, you hear again and again how important it is to know your family history, which brings us to our final goal for the new year: know your family history. And that is for good reason. Your family history determines your genetics, and your genetics is one of the biggest risks that you have for acquiring diseases, especially cancer. So if there's someone in your family that had cancer at a very young age, then we need to keep a good 10 years ahead of that and look for it early so we can get modern medicine in your corner to fight against that. Because I want you to know genetics does not need to be fate, it is information that you can use to fight against disease. So get awkward with your family, dive into things, and get a little bit too much information. Because trust me, the conversations can be no less improper than a typical Tuesday in the Cooper household. I hope you found my gut goals to be helpful for planning your own New Year's resolutions. And I want to thank you for watching with us this past year. Thank you and be safe.